Welcome to the Real View podcast, where Ohio Realtors connect you to innovators and influencers, keeping you with the real view of real estate. Whether you're a broker, agent, first-time homebuyer, industry leader, or just happen to stumble upon our podcast today, you can expect to hear tips, tools, tricks, interesting information, and so much more from the experts in Ohio's real estate game. Everyone, and welcome back to the Real View podcast. I am your host, Allison Wiley. Joining me today, our special guest is Karin Carr. She is founder of Video Boss Agent and a fellow realtor. I always love when I get to talk to fellow realtors. They just have such a great perspective and insights into our world. So she's going to dive us into this world of YouTube videos, how to make it a critical part of our business strategy, and share a little bit of some tricks and tools that she's done in her time in growing her business. And you're going to hear all about how she's done it and what you need to know to make this part of your business strategy. So Karin, I would like to welcome you onto the show today. We're so happy to be talking to you.
Well, thank you for having me, Allison. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. Before we get started in today's topic in the world of YouTube, I would like to hear a little bit more about you. Could you share with us a little bit about you, how you got started in real estate, and a little bit more of your background?
So I got licensed in Northern California in 2005. We had just moved there. I had a new baby and I thought, wow, it's really expensive here. So if I got my real estate license and I just sold one house a month, we'd be killing it. And it would be so easy because it's got to be easy, right? All we do is snoop in beautiful homes all day and it'll be a piece of cake. Well, you know how that turns out. Like they don't teach us anything in real estate school about how to actually find clients. So the first year was rough. And the second year, the market crashed in California. So that was even rougher. And I kind of stumbled into doing bank foreclosures. Thank goodness, because I honestly don't think that I would have stayed in real estate had I not, because the market was just terrible. Prices were plummeting, where I had listings that I couldn't give away and nobody wanted to buy because the prices were going down so fast. They thought, well, I don't want to buy. And then 3 months from now, it's worth $50,000 less than what I paid. So yeah, those first 2 years were really tough. Started doing REO properties. And after about 10 years in Northern California, we relocated across the country to be closer to my mom and dad. And we moved to Hilton Head, South Carolina. And then a year later, we moved to Atlanta. And then 2 years later, we moved to Savannah. So after much moving back and forth, I thought, every time we move, I have to start over. This is the worst. I'm getting too old for this. I am not going to cold call people all day. What am I going to do? And I thought, why not try YouTube videos? Why not? I have nothing better to do. And long story short, it took off. It started doing really well. Within a year, I was getting almost all of my clients from YouTube. And I had to form a team. And within a few years, we had a team of 9 people. And all of our clients were coming to us from YouTube for free. We were not doing any advertising. It was all organic. So in hindsight, I'm thinking, why didn't I start this so much sooner? Because boy, does it work, and work very, very well.
Yeah, I love that. And you're right. It's so hard as realtors, that's the basis of what we do is being in our communities. We're the experts. And that was probably super hard to try to navigate those different communities, growing your business when you're constantly, learning in new and growing in new places yourself. And so I think that's just really creative. And I love, how you were able to kind of pivot and say, this is how I'm going to do it. And every agent kind of has their own sweet spot into what they're really good at and how they can, really utilize that to grow their business. And it sounds like you were able to find that. Tell us a little bit about founding Video Boss Agent, the work you do there. Tell us a little bit about that company and what you all do.
Well, it was really interesting because before I started getting clients from my YouTube channel, I was getting calls from other agents. And people would say, hey, I'm an agent in Seattle and I watch your channel. And I said, why? Like, I really couldn't figure out why it was an agent from all the way across the country watching my YouTube videos. I really did not get it. And they would say, well, you keep putting out these videos and they're showing up in my newsfeed. Is this working for you? And I said, heck yeah, this is working for me. This is so great. Like, I'm growing my audience. I'm brand new in town. I have no market share. And now I'm getting all of these views and I'm getting comments. And then people are starting to email me and call me. And so after, I don't know, the 100th phone call that went like that, my husband said, you need to teach people how to do this because clearly there's a market for this. They want to know, they're calling you, give the people what they want. And I said, are you kidding me? I'm so busy right now. How on earth would I possibly find time to do that? But I figured it out. And I said, I'll make a digital course and I'll put it on my website. And one day I went live on YouTube and said, hey, agents, if you want to learn how to make YouTube videos, I got this digital course, go get it. And lo and behold, it's now like 4,000 people later that people have taken this program and people have gotten amazing results. And it makes me so happy, especially people of a certain age like me, because then we can say, see, you don't have to be 20 years old. You don't have to be on TikTok. You don't have to be doing reels where you're dancing and doing all of the trends and trending audio. Like, none of that is important on YouTube. We don't have to do any of that stuff. And we get clients. We don't just get views. We don't get bragging rights. We get leads who call you and say, I want to buy a house. I want to sell a house. Will you please help me? They sign on the dotted line and you get a commission check at the end of the day. And that's what my goal is. So I don't need a million views. I don't need hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I could have 1,000 subscribers on my channel and do a really amazing business.
I love that. I think, you just mentioned so many misconceptions in there, right? Like thinking, oh, I need to be on TikTok and doing dances, or, I need to be going viral. If I'm not going viral, how is anyone going to see me? How do I work against those algorithms? And you're saying it doesn't even need to be this massive, social media presence. You might just talk to your 1,000 people and do it really well. I think that is really important to mention. Are there any other misconceptions that you've run into when you start, walking your clients and other agents through your course, or what comes up as you're training other realtors on this? Many sometimes we have preconceived notions walking into things. Is there anything that you run into that people, may think one way about that really it's different, or what do you run into as you're teaching people that?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I don't even know where to start. I have a list as long as my arm. So let's see. First thing is the videos have to be very, very short because nobody has an attention span these days. That's not true. If somebody is Googling, like, how much does a house cost in Savannah, Georgia, they want to watch this video. And if it's 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long, that's fine. They are looking for the information. They're totally there. You're not interrupting what they were doing. You're not trying to stop the scroll. You're not trying to put your real estate content in front of them when they didn't want it. They're actively seeking it out. So you can make your video 20, 30 minutes long. And as long as you have good information and it's interesting and you're able to hold their attention, they'll watch that all day, every day. And YouTube will say, oh my gosh, look at this. Allison made this 30-minute long video and people love it. We're going to show it to 100,000 more people. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be short. And in fact, it shouldn't be short. I would say, like, if it could be longer than 10 minutes, again, you have to be able to be good at holding someone's attention. But if you can do that, that's a really good thing. It's not about trending audio. It's not about any of the viral things. We don't have to put the latest video song in the background and try to like hack the algorithm by using some famous song. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Instead, YouTube is owned by Google, which is a search engine. It's not really social media. So I look at it more as the video version of Google. It is SEO. Somebody goes to Google and they put in their search. What are they trying to find out? They do the same thing on YouTube. But instead of reading a blog post, we're going to give them a video answering their question. So we need to know, who am I trying to reach with this video? What am I talking about? What are they searching for in the Google search bar or the YouTube search bar so that my video will show up in the search results? And then they will want to click on it and watch it. What's another one? Yeah, we've talked about going viral. It's not. So people will think, will there be a housing market crash in 2025? That's a great video topic, but would be even better for you is, will there be a housing market crash in Atlanta in 2025? So if you can put your local area into the title, you might not get as many views because it's not applicable to everyone in the entire country. But the people that do click and watch are telling you that they are interested in the Atlanta real estate market. And so if they liked that video, they might watch another video and another video. And if we can get them to binge watch like they're on Netflix, but they're watching all of your real estate content, eventually they just pick up the phone and call you and say, I want to sell my house. And you seem like the expert. You know everything there is to know about Atlanta real estate. Like, come over and let's have a conversation. And
That
those
is so
people are
smart.
the best. Those are the best leads ever.
That's so smart in thinking about who you want to reach, right? Like it doesn't matter if you have somebody, and that goes back to the whole audience thing about, you don't need to have a million people across the
Right.
country, listening to you. If, me in Columbus, I'm never going to buy a home in Atlanta, Georgia, but you have those Atlanta people following you, people who are interested in Atlanta, maybe relocating, you're getting on their radar, and those are the people who are highly likely to work with you, or at least are showing interest in what you have to talk about. I think that's so smart.
Okay.
This episode of The Real View is brought to you by the Ohio Association of Community Colleges. Ohio's network of community colleges provides accessible training that accommodates the busy lifestyles of aspiring real estate professionals at half the price of a traditional university. With convenient locations in every part of the state, as well as online options, Ohio's community colleges are your smart choice for pre-licensing education. For more details or to start the journey to a real estate career, visit the education page at ohiorealtors.org and then click on the pre-license course locations.
Agreed. One other misconception is they think that the channel is all about Atlanta. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Because A, Atlanta is a really big area. B, there are a lot of realtors in Atlanta. There are thousands and thousands of people that you're competing against, and a lot of them have YouTube channels. So if your only value proposition is, this is the area that I service, then you're not very special. Instead, you want to think, okay, who would I like to attract the most with this YouTube channel? And for me, it was people in the military who just got orders to go to Savannah. They're going to be at Hunter Army Airfield. They've usually always lived on base or on post. Ours is like half Army, half Air Force. So I say on base because my husband was Air Force, but forgive me if it's actually your Army and it's on post. And they've always lived in the base housing. Now they think, oh, maybe I could actually afford to buy a house when we get there because it's a very affordable place to live. So my entire channel was made for those people. They are buyers. They are relocating here from out of the area. They don't know anything about Savannah yet, and they are military. So you would think that that is so specific that I would get a very small group of clients. And you're right. It did. I got a very small subset of clients. And guess what? I built a crazy large business just going after those people. Now, that doesn't mean those were the only people that I worked with. The very first lead that I got from my YouTube channel was a seller who was not in the military. And the second lead I got was a seller who was in the military. But it was interesting that I was attracting listings from these videos that were meant for buyers. And it's just interesting how the whole YouTube thing works. If you can make your marketing message very, very laser targeted to one specific small group of people, then YouTube says, got it. I understand what your channel is about. I think I know all of the people who would enjoy watching these videos, and it puts your video in front of those people. But if YouTube says, I don't really know what your channel is about, you're talking about lots of different real estate stuff in California, but California is a really big state. Like, I just don't have enough information from you. So therefore, I'm not going to promote your videos to anyone. So it seems counterintuitive, but the more specialized you can be, the better your channel will work.
I love that. That's really interesting. Is that kind of how you tailor your content as well, with that in mind? Like, okay, so here's my group of people that I really want to work with. Here's who I'm hoping to attract. Here's who I want to talk to. And then do you plan your content out, based on that? Or how do you do your content planning, and kind of walk us through how you would do your videos for a month or something like that?
Oh, 100%. So if I know exactly who my target audience is, so a buyer relocating to Savannah in the military, I probably would not make a video about selling and staging my house because I'm trying to get a buyer. So I have to know who I'm talking to, what are their needs, what are their wants, what are their questions, what are their problems, and then just make a running list of all of the ideas I have for a video. Well, I could talk about the VA funding fee, and I could talk about like 7 neighborhoods that are within a half-hour drive of the base. And I could talk about like, where should you live? If you want to live in the country and have chickens, where should you live? But could you afford to live by the beach if you wanted to live there? Just tons of different things that I can talk about that would be relevant for that specific person. And then I really am a big advocate of keyword research, which is where you go to Google and you say, moving to Savannah, Georgia, and Google will say, oh, 480 people per month search that exact phrase, and the competition is very low, which means you'll be able to rank for that. You'll be able to rank in the search results. And you can use SEO in YouTube the same way that you do on your website. It's the same strategy. So if they're Googling it, they're going to find your video because videos show up on the first page of Google. And if they're searching in YouTube, they're going to find your video because they're already in the platform. So you have to know, what are they typing into the search bar so that my video will show up. But I think too many people will make a video about whatever they feel like talking about. In fact, this is one of the biggest things. Like, realtors, God, I love you guys. I'm one of you. Can we stop making videos about coffee shops and like the best places to get tacos and stuff? Somebody who Googles coffee shops in Rincon, Georgia, that doesn't mean they want to sell their house. It means they want a cup of coffee. Let's make real estate content. No, it's not sexy. No, it's not exciting. We're talking about real estate. But let's find the people that are actively in the market to buy and sell instead of attracting people that like to talk about the town, and they will follow you for 7 years before they ever need the services of a real estate agent. Like, I'd rather get to people that are looking now or in the near future. I just figure if I'm going to make a video, I want it to be a video that gets me clients, not a video that gets me likes and shares. That's not my goal.
Yes. And I think that's kind of the mindset switch that almost should be happening, right? We're not in this to get as many views, and yes, views are great and likes are great and all this stuff is great. You know what I mean? But I think the goal of this, if you are wanting to make it a part of your business strategy, is to do it in a way that you are reaching those people who are highly likely to begin working with you, who are motivated, who have interests, who can potentially work with you, sooner rather than later, which is what you're saying that is key. And you've done this in the way that this has completely gotten you away from cold calling. Is that right?
Oh gosh, yeah. So I have never really liked cold calling, but I was with a brokerage back in, I think it was 2016, where we were all learning how to cold call expireds, which I hated from the very depths of my soul, but we were all doing it together. And this man answered the phone and said, like, you're the 18th person to call me since 8:00 this morning.
Oh
Would you please go jump off a cliff and lose my number? And I just thought, I hate making those calls, but they hate receiving them probably even more than I hate making them. And now every time my phone rings, it says scam likely across the very top above the phone number. Nobody wants to answer the phone. They think we're all just cold calling them. Nobody wants to answer that. So what if instead we made content that they were seeking out, and then they came to us and they said, oh my gosh, your videos are so helpful. Thank you. I would like to hire you. Like, what a different conversation that is than me cold calling them. And all I want to know is, like, how much are you going to charge? Are you going to be the cheapest? They're going to try to haggle. And like, I don't want to deal with any of that stuff. I want people that value the expertise that I bring to the table, and they want to hire me for said expertise. I don't want to cold call people and like browbeat them into hiring me.
Agreed. It's such a smarter way of doing it, and more time efficient too. I mean, if you have someone reaching out to you on your YouTube channel who is already interested, versus maybe you get one hit out of the 20, people that you're calling that day. I mean, what a better use of your time to be getting in contact with those people versus, individuals who you don't even know that may be interested in working with you. I think that is
Right.
that is such, a smart way to kind of manage your time in itself.
Well, and speaking of time, the cool thing about YouTube video is it lives there forever. So I
Yes.
get leads every week from videos that I made 7 years ago. It's
Wow.
crazy to me that they will say, somebody sends me an email. Oh, I was watching your video called blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I literally made that in 2017. And
Wow.
you are calling me today or emailing me today. So it's a really, really good use of your time because you make the video once, but it lives on the internet forever and it will keep bringing you clients over and over and over again. So if it takes you, I don't know, an hour to film the video and then a couple of hours to edit the video, and then we have to upload it, and we have to write the title and the description. Let's say that the whole thing takes, I don't know, 6 hours, but it brings you clients for the next 10 years. That's a pretty good use of 6 hours compared to cold calling, where the minute I stop calling, there's no more lead gen going on. If I'm door knocking, same thing. When I get in my car and I drive away, we're done. Like you will not get leads 2 years from now from a house that you knocked on yesterday unless you had a conversation with them and you gave them your flyer and they miraculously remembered you years later. It's not a continuing thing like YouTube is.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I didn't even think of that. And you're almost just meeting your clients, these people where they're at, right? I think that's the goal, especially in today's world where you're right. I mean, we're getting advertisements thrown at us left and right. We're getting people calling our phones. We're getting these spam calls. It is nonstop, in the world that we live in today. This, you're almost meeting people where they're at and where you know that they're already interested in and that they're exploring this space. You're meeting people where they're at. And I think that's what's really great about this and a really smart way to kind of run your business. How do we start? Where do we start at the beginning of this? Because I know, agents are sometimes like, I don't know how to do this. I have to buy, this expensive camera. I need a tripod. I need a background. I need hair and makeup. I need lighting. What would you say? How do we start at the beginning? What steps should we take? What are those first kind of baby steps that can get us started in this? And how did you got to approach the building up of your channel at the beginning?
Yeah. Well, everybody has a camera and in their phone, and it's probably a really, really good camera as long as your phone is no more than 2 or 3 years old. I think when I started my videos, I want to say I had an iPhone 6 Plus at the time, and I made videos on that, and they were fine. And then I got an 8 Plus, and they were fine. And then I got a 12, and now I have like a 14 Pro, and they're fine. They're absolutely fine. You can use the webcam that's built into your computer. It will be fine. Nobody watches your real estate video and says, oh, if only your production quality were leveled up a little bit and this were more like a Martin Scorsese film, I would be much more likely to hire you. I don't think anyone thinks that.
Right.
They think this is a business person who is talking about the services that they provide. Now, if I'm trying to list a $4 million house, yes, I'm going to have a really nice production quality to show off that house. But if I'm saying, hey, are you moving to Savannah? You probably have never been here before. You couldn't pick it out on a map. I'm going to tell you why you're going to love it here. And then I'm going to tell you some places that you should consider living in if you're going to relocate here. That's just me sitting here talking to my computer. It's very informal. It doesn't have to be anything amazing. As long as you have decent lighting, as long as you have good audio, it's good enough. People are not going to criticize you for the quote unquote quality of the video, because they don't expect it to be amazing. I think they understand that we're just real estate agents who are making videos and they're going to cut us some slack.
Yeah. And I think it makes it more like genuine and authentic too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I see something heavily produced, I'm like, okay, this is just like a show. Like I'm watching like
it's a commercial.
Yeah. I think like when you're showing that realness, it almost comes across in a more genuine and authentic way. I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe that's fine.
Okay. So that was another thing. And let me put this out there right now. Please do not, the first words out of your mouth in your video are not, hi, I'm Karin. I'm a realtor with XYZ brokerage. What they hear is, hi, I'm an annoying salesperson, and this is going to be a sales pitch. This is going to be a commercial. So we have to say that in the video. We have to be compliant, but we do not need to say that in the first 5 seconds of the video. So instead, start the video with, what are you talking about in this video that would be important to them, that would grab their attention and make them want to keep watching? And then later you can say, oh, by the way, how do I know all this stuff? My name is Karin and I'm a realtor and I've been doing this for 20 years. I know everything there is to know about this city. Subscribe to this channel, and then keep talking about your video topic. But too many people, they have their phone number on the screen, they have their name on the screen, they have all of their branding, and I'm just convinced that the average consumer sees it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, get back, you annoying salesperson." We kind of have a bad reputation in the market after the last year. Let's do something that we can show our value and not come across as super self-promotional, so we could try to change the public's perception of what it is that we do.
I love that. No, so true. You're right. You don't want to turn people off. You have such a small window to grab viewers' attention that what you say in those first few seconds are either going to keep them on to watch your entire video, or they're going to X out and move on to something else.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a great bit of advice. Try to start your videos with something that is really going to capture that attention and is going to make people, want to stay around and watch the entirety of the video. And then yes, put that in at the end, put that in the middle. I think that's really great advice. Are there any trends in YouTube that you're anticipating in the future, or any new features, or anything that we should kind of be aware of when we think about what the future of, online YouTube, social media marketing looks like? Is there anything you're seeing or anything we should be aware of?
Well, YouTube Shorts came out a few years ago, which was their answer to Instagram Reels, and everybody got very excited about it because I think that people think it is less work to make a short form piece of content.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, no, it is not. I find
part.
it so much
Yes.
more difficult
It
to
is.
make short form than long form.
Yes.
Just because it's shorter does not mean that there's less production that goes into it. I think it's 100 times harder. And you get lots of views, but you don't get clients.
Mm-hmm.
So I know so many people that have put a lot of time and energy into making YouTube Shorts. And after 90 days of doing it, you say, how's it going? They're like, well, I've got 20,000 views on every video that I made and 0 phone calls. So I would say, do not be distracted by the shiny object syndrome. You don't need to make YouTube Shorts. If you like doing that, by all means, go for it. But I don't. I just do the long form content and it works just fine. And then the trend, and this is not a new trend, but this is like my favorite trend, is to have a website with a free offer of some sort where you will collect their contact information, because you can't follow up with people that just watch your videos. Even if they subscribe to your channel, you don't necessarily know who they are, and you can't send them a DM because we don't have the DM feature on YouTube. So you know that they're watching, but there's no way for you to reach out to them. So instead you say, so now that you have decided you're coming to Savannah, I have a relocation guide on my website. You should download it. It's totally free. I'll put the link down below. They click, they go to your website, they put in their name, their email, their phone number. Now they're in your CRM. Now you can follow up with them. You've got to put them on a drip campaign, all of the things, but you've got to get them off of YouTube and into your database so that you have their contact information, and hopefully it's legit. And when they watch your YouTube videos, usually it is. Usually they've watched enough of your videos to trust you enough that they will give you their legitimate contact information and not make up a fake phone number. And then when you call them, they say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm talking to you. I've watched all of your videos. This is so cool. And they turn into really great leads and clients for you. So
that's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. Try to get them off of YouTube and into your CRM that you control, that you can have all of that information.
Absolutely. No, so important, making sure you capture that. Don't let them go away, just making sure we are, doing everything we can to follow up with them, at a later date. And it's so funny because you're right. As someone who does podcasts and is in the, online space, a lot of people say, oh my gosh, I recognize your voice. I can't believe, I heard your episode last week. And it's funny, they'll recognize it. And those conversations are always fun and always enjoyable. So
I know they make you feel like a celebrity, which is hilarious because we are not.
It's so
but
true.
To them, we are.
Yeah, no, so true. It's always fun. Well, Karin, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing this knowledge. I know I have so many notes. I'm like, I need to remember that. I need to explore more about that. So I know that our listeners will too. And this was so great. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was lots of fun.
And to all of our listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back with you next week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to The Real View. That wraps up today's episode. You can keep up with the latest on the podcast at ohiorealtors.org/therealview and on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Have questions, comments, or suggestions? We want to hear from you. Email us at podcast@ohiorealtors.org. We'll see you next time.